past mega events plus in 2026, the forecast, host cities can expect to see 55% average rate increases versus the prior year. Some of the premium located units closer to the stadiums can see up to 90%.
Welcome to the Vacation Rental Show. This is your essential playbook to grow and scale your vacation rental business with advice and insights from the best in the biz. I'm your host, Linnell Gordon. Welcome to the Vacation Rental Show. I'm Linnell Gordon, your host, and I am really excited today. We are joined by a powerhouse in the world of prop tech and fintech, Sofia Rossato. She is currently the executive vice president at Inhabit, so she oversees all the vacation division guys. And in her career, she has been at the helm of some of the most influential companies in tech. And just last year, she received an award. She was named, I think, one of the most powerful women in fintech. She's a leader who has managed billion-dollar divisions, guys, and she has negotiated successful multi-million-dollar acquisitions, but she's also a dedicated advocate for inclusion and mentorship, which is great, guys. You know, we're all about that on this show. Through her work with the Broker Action Coalition and Habitat for Humanity. Welcome, Sofia. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Linnell. It's great to be here.
You guys recently did something at Inhabit where you were helping property managers prepare for the World Cup. And tell me what you guys did there, because some of these things were absolutely off the wall that I was hearing.
You know, it's one of the great things about being part of an ecosystem like Inhabit, where we can bring in experts from across the ecosystem. So that means, you know, whether it's Scott in government affairs or Des in revenue management, or any of our experts from LSI and our digital marketing services and PMS. So we had, I think it was in November, we realized, okay, hang on a second. We have a big announcement coming up, a timely event with the World Cup. Linnell, I know you and I don't know if it's FIFA or FIFA, and we should know because
we're not going to guess. We just know what it is.
We just know what it is because you've taken Spanish for 7+ years, and I'm from Argentina, and we still don't know. But regardless, there's a big event coming up, and it's the World Cup, and this event is happening this coming summer, so in June and July. But the cities were announced in December. And so before the cities were announced, one of the things that we did was we put out information through email, through LinkedIn, through different marketing channels about how property managers can prepare for upcoming events. And I'll use this as an example, but it really goes across for any big event that may be coming up, is to plan ahead. So number one, we let people know, adjust the rates now, right now. So before the team announcements come out, you're going to increase your June and July rents. You're going to set 3 to 7 night minimum stays. You're going to add match day surcharges, and you're going to raise the prices for 1 to 2 days on each side. So that's called shoulder event nights. And then you're going to understand surge pricing. Okay, what does that mean? Well, because we've got these experts with our revenue management side of the house, we know that past mega events plus in 2026, the forecast, host cities can expect to see 55% average rate increases versus the prior year. Some of the premium located units closer to the stadiums can see up to 90%. Some major, which is significant, right? Some major global events usually range between 40 and 120%. Again, if you're 0 to 5 miles close to a stadium, that's where the strongest spike is going to be. But even 1 or 2 hours away, you can see a 20 to 60% uplift as an example. And so it's not, you know, the reality is that these surges are real, but they're not uniform. So you have to see what's happening in your market. And that kind of brings me to the second point, which is if you're not ready to set rates right now, you don't have to, but just block those dates so that you can monitor those demand. You can see what's happening. How are others setting rates for those dates? And then when you're more comfortable with it, open up the block. So that's the second point, is if you're not ready to set the rates, then block and set them a little bit later. The other is key operational and marketing metrics. When you have a big event coming up, One would be that you want to target longer stays and city hopping fans. So fans often attend multiple matches in different cities. You might promote a 7 to 9 night tournament week stays, maybe in one or more cities. Um, Price short gaps between each match days as premium nights as well, because they've got to stay somewhere, right? And then highlight the airports, transit, highways for easy travel. And then finally, another idea that you and I had not talked about as well is this concept of using the 300-mile zone as a competitive advantage. So that's where the demand kind of radiates out in waves, and you can attract guests even up to 300 miles away or 5 hours away by focusing on, travel time in hours or minutes, right? Take your weekend getaway, people who are going to be driving in even up to 5 miles. I know that when I get a notice to go to either Grand Junction or Telluride, I'm in Boulder, Colorado, even that's pretty far away. If there's something special happening, I still consider it because it's within that 5 hour window. For those, it would be affordability compared to, stadium adjacent units. So as you get further out in those waves, you can make those adjustments. And then finally, look at the way that you market your units. And this goes not just for special events, but across the board. So you might take a look at, for example, updating your listings so that it says, here's the stadium travel times, walk, drive, or transit, clear transit instructions, stadium security policies. Many of these stadiums, you can't bring a bag or it has to be a clear bag, right? Let people know that ahead of time. Parking and entry info, all of that. And then, of course, photography. How are the beds laid out for large group sleeping arrangements? What's your TV and internet setup? Interior, exterior parking, map showing exactly the, proximity to the host city or the stadium. And those are just some tips that you can do that will show your guests for a big upcoming event that you care, A, that you know that these events are coming up in the summer, and that B, that you care enough about them to save people time. Because what's the number one thing people want is for you to save them time, right? And to provide these beautiful experiences, but not spend time doing these ticky-tacky, organizational. Although I do know some people that love it. They love doing every single little item and checking the box. It's just easier if you can give them the data up front.
You said something that gave me a great idea, I think. Maybe it's not, but I think it's a great idea. You talked earlier when we were talking a little bit about that, about your TV streaming, creating areas that you could stream. Even outside of these host cities, this is going to be happening during this specific time. If you have people coming in vacation during that time, let them know, hey, I have a great area where you all can sit around and stream this and have at it and enjoy yourself. So you can take advantage of it even outside the city. And I was like, what a great idea. I mean, amazing idea.
That's a great idea for a group event, a group viewing event as an experience that's an add-on. That's a great idea.
Unique stay. That's what we're doing. Unique stays we're trying to do. You gave me some stats, okay, as far as what's happening in 2026 in the industry. And it didn't surprise me, but because I'd seen it in my own area and in the rental area that I keep up with really closely, and my own rental, I saw that. I was just really surprised. So tell us a little bit about the 2026 outlook for property management.
Yeah, some macro trends happening that we're seeing right now. One is that the national occupancy rates for professionally managed short-term rentals rose about 2.5% year over year in January. So it reached about 54% versus 51.5% in 2025. So that's good. The exception is the mountain region. I mean, I'm in Boulder, so I can tell you right now, you see ski shops with the words "pray for snow" written out. So the snow has not been great this year in mountain regions, but in other areas, you've seen some nominal growth on occupancy. ADR stability, average daily rate, that held steady kind of from versus last year. RevPAR is where we have seen an increase. So revenue per available rental. And we got to look at that again. Some people call it revenue per available rental. Some it's revenue per available room. And so that increased 3.2% year over year, driven primarily by this higher occupancy and stable rates. And what's interesting, though, is that I was just looking at these numbers, the latest ones. RevPAR, which is the number one metric to look at in unit economics for professional property managers, is higher. It's actually 16% higher for people using Inhabit products and Streamline, for example, versus other PMSs. And it's partly because it's highly, it's the way that the operators operate, more professionalized than other options. They can create their own recipe and move all the buttons in Streamline, for example, or one of our other PMSs to exactly set up the system the way they need for them to win. It's not a one size fits all. So it takes a little bit of time to set up, but then you get that specialness, what makes you unique and valuable, that experience that you provide. Your tech stack can actually help you drive that. And there are people who I spoke to many of them who have said exactly this, that they've bought other properties, other units from other companies and tested what was their RevPAR before they acquired them, and then after they put them into their portfolio within Streamline, and they just saw an immediate uplift. And so it works, and we've got those use cases. So again, think about how you're configuring and aligning your tech stack options so that you can maximize things like RevPAR, especially in this market where we're dealing with some headwinds as well. So any little bit helps.
Built by property managers for property managers, Streamline is a powerful software that gives managers enterprise-level capabilities to drive more revenue and improve operational efficiency. Migrating to Streamline allows property managers to gain functionality while reducing the need for multiple vendors. Improve your flow by logging into a single system and reduce redundant technology costs. With Streamline, property managers achieve revenue lifts by leveraging our fully fledged communication center reservations, quoting system, revenue management tools, homeowner acquisition CRM, and powerful direct OTA connections. Streamline also has industry-leading trust accounting and report capabilities to give you clarity in an overall company performance. Learn more about Streamline Vacation Rental Software at streamlinevrs.com. You talked to me about value stays. So what are you guys seeing in value stays? Are those important to have this year?
Yes, they are important in that, especially as the window for booking, the booking windows reduces, where the booking window has reduced the most, that's an important area to really think about value stays, because those are people who are price conscious or who are making, a last minute decision, versus where if you look at, for example, some of these larger homes, 3 or more bedrooms, we're seeing that those are performing better over time. Those have longer booking windows, but they also are the ones that are going to drive the most revenue for the property manager. So you got to look at your portfolio mix and asset mix and say, okay, what strategy am I going to take? Maybe with smaller units that have shorter booking windows versus the larger units where I can provide better experiences. We even have property managers work with their owners and almost test them out and say, okay, to really drive up RevPAR and to drive up ADR, you need to add in a pool table or a hot tub. And then they're testing them and see, are they going to do that? Yes or no? And some property managers, what we're seeing, professional property managers are saying, okay, if I have this much staff that I'm going to manage across these units, what type of units are going to drive the best economics for me? And can we focus on those and up level those with better amenities?
Let me ask you this. You have a lot of experience, all the way from startups to billion-dollar businesses that you have managed. As a leader, what advice would you give property managers who are looking at increasing their skills in leadership? What would you say to them is the most important thing in leadership? I mean, that goes over to all different types of businesses. So what would you tell property managers who are looking to become better leaders?
It's a broad one to cover. And I've talked about this in the past, but it's, if you get down to the 5 whys and to the most basic answer, it's be a good human. It's bring your people along with you and be a good human. We're in the hospitality industry. So by definition, And sometimes it's difficult to do that, right? People get tired. They get, people don't want to be yelled at by guests or team members or clients or what have you. But ultimately, we are in the hospitality industry for a reason. And so be a good human. Bring people along with you. Don't make decisions top down. When I meet with teams, we do something called IDS: identify, discuss, and solve. You bring a problem, don't try to solve it. And when you ask the question, it's just a question or a problem statement. And then the entire team comes together to solve it together. Identify, discuss, and solve. It's a core tenet in an operating framework called EOS that I use a little bit from one framework and another, and kind of created my own recipe for managing and operating businesses. And IDS is a big one. So bring your people along in solving problems. Don't think that you have to have all the answers. And again, if they help you co-create that solution, they're going to be way more invested in executing it.
What would you tell property managers? You have a certificate from from MIT. Tell me what you would give advice. What advice would you give property managers looking to get an AI? It's a scary world out there when we think about it.
Because we have a short period of time, I'm going to get down to if I was brand new in this space and just starting to play with AI, what would be the first thing that I would do? So I'm going to get super tactical, if that's okay. Well, no, I'm just going to give the steps 1, 2, 3. Step 1, go to ChatGPT, turn off data sharing. Very important, because otherwise your data will get shared. And that's in the settings. And they're kind of tricky how they say it. They say, do you want to make the model better for everyone? That sounds great. Yeah, of course we do. No, you don't. Turn that off. Okay. So turn that off, and then ask it, create for me either the simplest or most advanced, your choice, prompt to help me solve this business problem, and fill in the business problem. And you can get a little more. So you don't even have to come up with the prompt. You just have to describe the problem that you're having. And then it will give you suggestions for a prompt, which then you copy and run, and then keep iterating that way. And it is an iteration. So play with it. Treat it like a friend. You can say, you can do better. I don't like that answer. Here's why. So have a conversation with it. And you don't have to have all the answers. That's one of the best things about Gen AI, is it can help you even ideate the prompt.
You talk to a lot of property managers. Tell me what advice would you like to give to property managers that you see?
So what I would say is that you can get paralysis analysis when it gets overwhelming, because there's so many tactical things that come at you every single day, from we got to fix the toilets here, this happened, that it does not leave a lot of space to think strategically about the business. And so then it happens in every industry. But what I see, having come from fintech, is that it happens even more so in prop tech and in property management in particular. And so you've got to have a bit of a discipline. For me, it's in the morning. It's the first hour in the morning before everything starts. My brain is the freshest. Whatever strategic thinking you need to do to help move the business forward, even by 1% per day is huge, right? Compound interest. But do that in the morning, block that off, leave the tactical stuff for the latter part of the day, because otherwise, we've all heard it. You're going to be working, not the business is running you, and you're not running the business. You're working in the business, not on the business. And so you have to give yourself some of that strategic thinking time early in the morning, is what I would say, to create these systems, create these agents. This is where technology is moving. We have big technology companies are now hiring verticalized teams, meaning instead of having a project manager, a product manager, a front-end engineer, back-end engineer, et cetera, they're hiring one person to do all of that and have agents that they're orchestrating across the board. That's called true verticalization. That's why you're seeing, for example, companies like Microsoft have 90 billion or so, more in revenue than they did have 10 years ago, but they have the same number of people, something like
Crazy.
that. Don't quote me exactly on that stat.
Crazy.
But this is what's happening, right? And so if you think of that, you got to think about, how can AI help me run my business without adding bodies and adding cost in the same way that we did before. And it's not something that you need to figure out by yourself. You can have AI help you figure that out for your special recipe for running your business.
Is there any other advice you'd like to give property managers?
What I would say is that you can get really caught up in the day-to-day and running the business, and that the community is such an important part of it. You know, the community, I've seen this day in and day out with property managers that I talk to, is that sometimes it can feel lonely, especially if you're running your own business. It feels lonely at the top. And so having a community to reach out to discuss, to problem solve is absolutely key. And we've got that in pockets across the Inhabit ecosystem. And I'd like to lean into that even more. And, you know, in some of these communities, vendor, I don't like the word vendor. We're partners, we're not vendors, but vendors/partners aren't allowed to be in some of these closed social groups, and that's okay. But we can create other communities that people can join. And so I would just say that reach out to your peers. At the end of the day, we're all trying to make the pie bigger. It's a fixed pie. We got to take from each other. It really is. How can we make the pie bigger for all of us? Because if you think about it, the short-term rental industry is still coming up and professionalizing itself. And even without all of the advocacy, the lobbying that the hotel industry has, we have, my understanding is, as many beds, which is incredible to me. So there is huge power in the STR industry, and we have to recognize that. So lean into advocacy, join your advocacy groups if you can. That's a great way to join community and keep the conversations flowing.
I have to tell you, I am so grateful to Inhabit for hiring you. I think you are a remarkable human being. You are a great leader and an inspiration and mentor. But here's what I want to say to you guys. If you see Sofia at any event, you should stop what you're doing and go say hello. My sister, I didn't get to meet you at our last event, which was Verma. You were there. I was there in Las Vegas. But my sister came up to me afterwards. She said, "Man, that Sofia is an amazing person." And I said, "That I am very jealous that you got to meet her before I even had an opportunity. All I had were press releases." And, she manages her own property management company. And I've heard that. I've heard from several people what an amazing human you are. So I hope that you guys will take advantage of getting to know her a little better, especially if you want to know more about our industry, because she is just the right person to talk to. So thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
I know everybody's going to be so happy and excited to meet you at the events. So
hi, Rochelle.
Thank you.
I'm sending a shout out to your sister.
Oh,
thank you
so
for the
sweet.
kind words, Lynelle. It's been lovely. Thank you so much for having me here and for the kind words.
Well,
Appreciate it.
I hear there's something amazing coming. I asked questions to our marketing leader, and she said, "Don't ask those questions." Like, I was asking about what's coming up. She said, "We've got huge announcements coming up, so I'm looking forward to having you back in a few months. After that comes out, you have to come talk to us about it."
Absolutely.
All right.
A lot
Thanks
happening
for
in
the
the AI
time.
space. Looking forward.
I can't wait.
Thank you, Lynelle.
All right. Bye. This episode of the Vacation Rental Show is brought to you by Streamline. To find out more about how Streamline can grow your vacation rental business, visit streamlinevrs.com. Make sure to search for the Vacation Rental Show in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, or anywhere else podcasts are found, and hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. On behalf of the team here at Inhabit, thanks for listening.